What up, internet? Back with another podcast. This time it's for my new song, Oblivion. If you haven't heard it, go check it out on Spotify, YouTube, and everywhere on the internet, pretty much. Song's pretty much inspired by Kingdom Hearts, and then it's similar to an older song that I wrote a couple years ago as well, in the fact that it sort of starts as like a pretty basic idea and then just perpetually expands until the end of the song. But yeah, it's not so much, there's not like a set form like there would be in a lot of my other songs where it's like verse, chorus, that sort of thing. This one's sort of a bit more just droning, but it adds more instruments the whole way through. So basically the song starts with what have we got here? Essentially just starts with like a guitar chord, like with like open picks of the notes. So. And that little piano sequence there sort of becomes one of like the main features of the song. So that on its own is just there. It's got a little bit of reverb on it, kind of just to make it a bit eerie, I guess, behind those guitars. So together, and then you'll hear the next part. There's like some reverse harmonic guitars that come in afterwards. The reverse, same deal, just to make it a little bit more off-putting at the start, honestly. But yeah, so that's where those like distorted guitars, that's sort of where it makes it all roughly come in all together. So it's the distorted guitars, bass guitar, and the drums all sort of come in. They're sort of like the rest of the rhythm section, the full band to pop on in. So at that point we've got like 6 guitars going. So that's the standard guitar sound. Add that in with the standard. And then there's the reverse guitars get added in as well. So it all leads into that next section. And then obviously add the bass in as well, so you can have a listen to the bass just on its own. Pretty standard for a lot of my tracks, just the usual bass tone I have. Doing the same thing as those distorted guitars, and the drums as well. And this is sort of the only section that it really gets quiet. So from there it's like full band, all instruments playing pretty much, and then straight after that it strips back just a tiny bit to like bass and drums. And then it adds that little solo guitar lead part in the center, and that's essentially just almost like a precursor to a part that comes in at the end. And that leads back into the other distorted guitars coming back in as well. So it carries on for a bit. The only thing that really changes there as well is that there's a lead guitar that doubles with the piano. So have a listen to that together. again, sort of just building on like the same idea that's been happening for a while. Coming up closer to the end. So again, we're blitzing through it because there's not a whole lot to the song, if I'm being honest. Because a lot of the parts that are already there, they just keep repeating. Like it's much of the same thing. It's just building over time, which is kind of cool. It's different to what I usually do, so I had a lot of fun with it. This lead guitar sort of comes back in as sort of like the start of the exit of the song, I guess you'd say. So yeah, there's even more guitars happening. There's too many guitars on this, so we've got 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 at this point. 11 if you want to include bass. So that lead part that we listened to before, that's well and truly back in. And then we've got a lead solo over the top as well. Again, pretty standard. It's like it's not complicated or anything like that, but it's got a few extra pieces that just sort of add some atmosphere to it. So those guitars are panned opposite as well. So we've got like hard left and right, and then a little bit less left and right, and then we've got a little bit less left and right again for the solo ones. So at this point, you can have a listen to all that before it adds the synthesizer in. And then this is like getting closer to the end of the song, but this is probably my favorite part because it took me a while to figure it out. Like it was a riff I was playing on guitar, and then I transposed it to the keyboard, and you add it as a synth line. So it's pretty busy, but it's quite buried, so you don't always notice it. But yeah, so it's quite, have a listen. It's quite a lot busier than the rest of the song because a lot of it's just slow and droning, whereas this has a bit of movement. And then in context. So yeah, comes back to not a whole lot and then ends on that main piano hook, which is too much fun. So yeah, a bit of a different one for what I usually do, but yeah, a lot of fun. And yeah, definitely, I think it's one of the probably better sounding recordings because I spent a bit more time than I usually do with like timed effects like reverb and delay and all that sort of stuff. Gives it like a nice atmosphere, probably what not a lot of my other songs have, which is good fun. The cool thing about what this one is too is my brother-in-law is actually working on some vocals, so he's going to do like a vocal version of the song and rearrange it a bit too, which should be pretty sick. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, if you haven't already, check out the song on Spotify and everything else, or if you want to listen to any of my other music, you can grab it on Bandcamp and that sort of thing too. But yeah, we might leave it there. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. But yeah, I'll see you next time.